All right, welcome. This is DB Talking Now, DB Talking Birds, DB Talking Philadelphia Eagles. Welcome, everybody. Let me get my mic plugged in. Did not realize it was unplugged. Boom, boom, boom. But let's go ahead and talk. We got a lot to talk about. So the Eagles went ahead and signed former Colts offensive lineman Raven Clark, former third-round pick. I think he's going to be good, guys. I think he's going to be good for this team. Obviously, he has the familiarity with Nick Sirianni, so that's absolutely phenomenal. Malik Hooker is still a free agent. This is one of those things that I'm going to continue to bring up as the Eagles continue to need to add bodies to the secondary to see if we can do something good. And so, I kind of want to continue to bring him up because I think that I think we're going to have some more cap space post June 1st. And Zach Ertz is obviously going to come in hand when we talk about things regarding June 1st, because then we'll be able to release him, get some cap space, things of that nature. So, so we'll just have to see. So I'm hoping that maybe they have some interest in Malik Hooker. Again, one of those guys that's familiar with Nick Sirianni and Jonathan Gannon. And then also Julio Jones on the trade block. Apparently the Falcons do want to trade Julio Jones. Who's going to get him? Look, at this point in time, I guess I get it. At this point in time, I guess I get it. You know what I mean? That we don't necessarily need him, but it's one of those things where do you just want to go ahead and grab a guy who is going to be an upgrade over Travis Fulgham, and if you can bring in that guy, it's going to be good for Travis Fulgham's development. You know what I'm saying? So bring in, try him. I think the Eagles, while we don't necessarily need it right now, I think they should go ahead and try and try and see if they can get their hands on Julio Jones. That's what I think. I'm really excited about Raven Clark, offensive lineman, former third round pick for the Colts. As I said, they do a good job of drafting offensive linemen over there in Indianapolis. And I think what it's going to come down to, how well does he do in the competition with Andre Dillard? How well does he do in the competition with Jordan Mailata? This is a guy who can play all five positions, maybe not the center position, but he can play out, or he can play offensive tackle, he can play offensive guard. And so I really think it's absolutely phenomenal that the Eagles are going out and doing everything they can to make sure that Jalen Hurts succeeds this season. They're getting the defensive line depth. They're getting the offensive line depth. Hopefully Brandon Brooks and Lane Johnson can stay healthy. Jason Kelsey, and bringing in Landon Dickerson to either back up Jason Kelsey or compete at one of the guard spots. Like, those are absolutely phenomenal moves. Getting Devontae Smith. I'm really excited about Devontae Smith. I think he's going to perform very well. Jason Kelsey obviously came on and spoke to the media either yesterday or the day before, and pretty much said he thinks that we have the ability to compete for this division this year, and I gotta agree with him. If you look at it, we have offensive playmakers. We have Devontae Smith, who we just drafted. We're hoping that Jalen Reagor takes leaps in his development. Travis Fulgham, we're hoping that he can continue to develop. But then again, Trayvon Grimes is going to be a guy to watch out for. I really think that he is going to give Travis Fulgham everything he's got to see if he can take that spot away from him. Or you just go and you trade for Julio Jones and you call it a day, and you let those guys develop behind Julio Jones, and then you decide you find some way to keep 7 wide receivers, because honestly, I would like to keep Quez Watkins. If there's a guy between Quez Watkins and John Hightower that we got to cut, I think it's going to be John Hightower. Quez Watkins just showed more in less games, less reps than John Hightower did all of last season. So, with that said, you got Devontae Smith, you got Quez Watkins, you got Jalen Reagor, you got Greg Ward, and then you have Julio Jones, and Travis Fulgham and Trayvon Grimes. So So it's gonna be interesting. I'm gonna keep a close eye on the Julio Jones trade, trade talk. Hopefully. Well, I'm not that huge. I want to pump the brakes a little bit too. I'm not that big on bringing Julio Jones into Philadelphia, um, but we know he can get the job done, and he can still play. You know what I mean? He can still play. He's been hampered by injuries. He's been hampered by injuries over the last couple of years. That's okay. You know what I mean? It's all right as long as you're not giving up, too much to go and get him. However, I feel like, as we all know, the New England Patriots offered a mega deal for to move up in the draft, and then they wanted to include Julio Jones on the draft day trade, and the Falcons just denied it. So obviously, with that pick, the Falcons went ahead and selected Kyle Pitts. So now's the time. Now's the time where they're probably going to gauge interest. They're probably going to see if the New England Patriots are still interested, and I don't see why they wouldn't be. You know what I mean? I mean, it seems like Bill Belichick is running around with his hair on fire this offseason, bringing in everybody and their moms. So we'll just have to see. Speaking of the Eagles veterans being excited, the Eagles veterans, Fletcher Cox, Brandon Graham, and they were both the guys who wanted to bring Ryan Kerrigan to Philadelphia. They were reaching out to Ryan Kerrigan like crazy. Ryan Kerrigan went ahead and said that, everybody made him feel really welcome. And that was a huge thing in his coming to Philadelphia, is everybody made him feel really welcome. He spoke to Howie. Apparently Howie had good conversations with Ryan Kerrigan. Anything I hear something nice about Howie, it always catches me off guard a little bit. But Howie did a good job. Apparently, Jonathan Gannon really wanted to bring him in because, as he said, they're looking for high character guys. High character guys. Ryan Kerrigan is a high character guy, and Ryan Kerrigan can still ball. So I think that this defensive line is going to be ferocious again. I think he's going to be able to bring in a Chris Lawn element, that we had. I think we're going to shock some people. And I think that is one of the things to look forward to. You know what I mean? Honestly, this division is up for grabs. We don't know how Dallas is going to do with Dak coming back. Dak fucked up his leg hard, guys. We have to remember that. That's not going to be – he's probably not going to be the same player. But he can try. He'll probably still be good. But Dak probably will not be the same player after that injury. So, we'll have to see how these guys do. Are the Dallas Cowboys – another thing I want to – while we're talking about the Dallas Cowboys, it's funny because I had some Dallas Cowboys fans troll the channel last week. And they said something interesting to me, which was the Eagles should be scared because of Jalen Smith, Jabril Cox, and Micah Parsons. No, Jalen Smith is the one who is in jeopardy of being cut post June 1st. So Leighton Vander Esch, no. Jalen Smith, yes. Jalen Smith has been up and down since his Pro Bowl season and just has not lived up to the billing since he got his contract. Would I like the Philadelphia Eagles to go out and get him if the Dallas Cowboys did, in fact, release Jalen Smith at some point this offseason? Yes, I would, because I believe that Jalen Smith can still ball. The Dallas Cowboys just made a mistake, like they always do, and overpaid him way too early. I'm pretty sure Jalen Smith got his contract before Ezekiel Elliott got his contract. I know it was during the same offseason. And all of those guys got contracts before Dak did. So yeah, they definitely overpaid for Jalen. Maybe not overpaid, but they paid him too early. So he most likely will be one of those guys that will get cut just to save cap space. And again, I mean, it's going to be a good year. It's going to be a good year. Each NFC East team is going to be really good, or is going to be a lot better than they were last year. Let me say that again. They're going to be a lot better. I'm not going to say that they're going to be really good. I'm not going to put my stamp of approval on that yet. But I do believe that each one of them is going to be better than they were last year. Obviously, with the Washington football team coming up and being ferocious on defense, the only question mark really for that team is honestly their quarterback, Ryan Fitzpatrick, or Fitzmagic. And probably and if they got that solved, if they made a trade for Jimmy G, so to say, which I think would be a smart move for the Washington football team. I hate giving out positive advice to rivals in the NFC East, seeing as I'm an Eagles fan, obviously. But that's something that they should really look into. That is something that they should really look into. And Daniel Jones is still a question mark. I still have faith that Daniel Jones can come along, but he just needs some more coaching or something. Really don't know. Maybe Kenny Golladay and Kadarius Toney being in New York for Daniel Jones to throw to is going to do better. Is going to be wonders for him. Getting Saquon Barkley back is obviously going to be a big thing. So there's a lot of potential for being better for each team in the NFC East. But again, at the end of the day, they're all question marks. So we will just have to see. But let's get back to the only team that matters, the Philadelphia Eagles. Cornerback guys. We still got to find a number one cornerback, or starting cornerback opposite Darius Slay. And as we know, there's the names. There's Steven Nelson. There's Brian Poole. And those are really the only two guys that I'm looking at. Maybe Richard Sherman as a stopgap, but Brian Poole, Steven Nelson are fairly still young. We can bring them in, and those are really the only guys that I'm looking at right now as far as the free agent targets are concerned, unless they're trying to make a trade for somebody. Like I said, Steven Nelson or Brian Poole would be fine with me. So, the other thing that I wanted to talk about regarding Ryan Kerrigan is he does have the ability to play linebacker. He's one of those guys. He can be an edge rusher, or he can be a stand-up linebacker. So again, we added another guy with versatility, and I shouldn't be saying this shouldn't be anything new, because Ryan Kerrigan's been in the league for a while now, and we should be very well aware of what he's capable of. But with that said, let me know what you guys think about the Eagles signing former third-round pick and Colts offensive lineman LaRaven Clark. What do you think about the odds of us bringing in Malik Hooker post June 1st? What about Julio Jones? Do you think the Eagles should get involved in trade talks for Julio Jones so that these wide receivers can have another guy to look up to? We do not have a veteran wide receiver on this team. And that is another thing to consider when it comes to the Eagles possibly being interested in Julio Jones. So who do you guys want at cornerback? Do you want Steven Nelson? Do you want Brian Poole? Let me know in the comment section below. Questions, comments, or even concerns. But right now, this is DB Talking Now, DB Talking Birds, DB Talking Philadelphia Eagles. And I will be with you guys tomorrow live. Come check it out. One love. Happy Thursday, everybody. Have a good evening. Good night. Go Birds.